Today, we're diving into a question that many of us have wondered about at some point. How do you know if the person in your life is the one that God has chosen for you? It's a question that can bring confusion, doubt, and even disappointment. But here's the truth. God does not leave us in the dark. He has a plan for every aspect of our lives, even in the most personal areas, including our relationships. His guidance isn't limited to just the big, significant moments in our lives, our callings, ministries, or future paths. His presence is with us even in the smallest details, like choosing a partner for life. You don't have to rely solely on your emotions or the ever-changing opinions of the world around you. When you know where to look, God's guidance becomes clear. Today, I want to share with you 5 things that happen when God chooses someone for you. These are not just theories. They are principles grounded in the Word, and they can help you confidently discern God's will in your relationships. If you've been praying for guidance in your love life, these principles will help you recognize His choice and walk in His peace. Before we dive into these life-changing insights, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of our uplifting and encouraging videos. If you find this message meaningful, please give a thumbs up to help spread the word. Your support helps us reach more people with God's guidance. Now, let's get into it. When it comes to relationships, one of the biggest fears is that we might end up with someone who isn't the person God has chosen for us. But here's the thing. If you rush or try to force your heart into something, it could lead to the wrong choices. If you're not letting God guide your steps, you might find yourself in a relationship that isn't in line with His perfect plan. This could lead to confusion, disappointment, or even heartache. Instead, trusting in God's timing and following His guidance is the key. If you allow God to guide you, your relationship will grow naturally, and you won't have to question or force anything. His will for you will be revealed in perfect timing, bringing peace and clarity. When God chooses someone for you, it won't feel forced or artificial. His will works in harmony with your free will. You see, God doesn't push you into a relationship you don't want or desire. Instead, He gently leads you toward what aligns with your heart's deepest desires. Over time, His plan shapes your heart to recognize the person He has prepared for you. You won't be pressured into something that doesn't feel right. Instead, His choice will resonate within you, bringing a sense of peace and confidence. Consider this. We are constantly making choices based on what we want, and while we have free will, God's sovereignty guides our steps toward His perfect plan. The Bible reminds us in Proverbs 16, verse 9, "In their hearts humans plan their course, but the Lord establishes their steps." This means that while you have the freedom to make decisions, God's hand is working behind the scenes to guide you in the direction He knows is best for you. This doesn't mean you won't experience doubts or confusion along the way, but when you're walking in His will, you'll notice that your desires start to align with what God has in store for you. What you thought you wanted may change, and you'll find that what God has for you is far better than you could have imagined. You will choose this person not out of pressure, but because God has prepared your heart to recognize them and embrace the relationship with peace and joy. One of the clearest signs that someone is God's choice for you is that they will also choose you freely. Relationships built on God's will are never one-sided. A relationship ordained by God is a divine connection where both hearts beat in harmony and both individuals willingly choose to be together. You won't have to convince anyone to love you, and you won't have to chase after someone who isn't sure. The love that comes from God is never about manipulation, pressure, or hesitation. The Bible reminds us in Proverbs 21, verse 1, "The king's heart is in the hand of the Lord. He directs it like a watercourse wherever He pleases." This powerful truth shows that God not only works in your heart, but also in the heart of the person He has chosen for you. If God has truly chosen someone for you, He will guide their heart to desire you, just as He has guided your heart to desire them. This mutual desire is not forced. It's a natural attraction that God orchestrates in both of your lives. In relationships, it's easy to fall into the trap of thinking that if we just try hard enough or show enough interest, we can make someone love us back. But this is not how God's love works. When God brings two people together, there's a natural draw to one another, but it's not because of coercion or manipulation. It's because both individuals are responding to God's call, choosing each other out of genuine, free will, grounded in His love. If the person you're with is hesitant, uncertain, or unwilling to commit to you, it may be a sign that they are not the one God has chosen for you. Relationships founded in God's will are not one-sided. They require mutual investment, trust, and commitment. You don't have to fight for someone's love. God's love doesn't create a relationship where one person is reluctant or unsure. Instead, when God is at the center, both hearts will come together willingly, with the same desire to build something meaningful and lasting. When God is at the center of a relationship, there is no need to chase or beg for love. It is freely given and received by both parties. In relationships outside of God's will, there may be struggles with doubts, hesitation, or insecurity. But when God is guiding the relationship, both individuals experience a profound sense of peace, knowing that they are both willing to commit to one another. This mutual choice is a reflection of God's love, which is not based on force, manipulation, or pressure, but on the free will and mutual desire that He places within both hearts. Consider the example of God's relationship with His people. He doesn't force anyone to follow Him. Instead, He invites us into a relationship based on love and trust. Likewise, in a relationship that is truly from God, both partners will feel an overwhelming desire to be with each other, and that desire will come from their hearts, not out of obligation or pressure. The natural attraction to one another is a sign of God's perfect orchestration. Another important aspect of mutual choice is that God will align your hearts with the same purpose and direction. As both individuals choose one another, they will also choose to honor God together. This means that the relationship will not just be about personal feelings or emotions, but about a shared commitment to God's plan for their lives. You will both work together, growing spiritually, emotionally, and mentally, toward a shared vision of building a life that honors God. This mutual commitment also reflects the way God works in His divine plans. He brings people together not to serve selfish desires, but to fulfill a greater purpose. In a relationship that's aligned with God's will, both individuals will come to understand that their love for each other is a reflection of God's love for them, and they will want to grow together not just as a couple, but as individuals striving toward God's purpose for their lives. Ultimately, the choice to be with someone, when guided by God, will not come with doubt or confusion. It will feel right because both individuals will experience the same internal peace, knowing that their relationship is part of God's perfect plan. As you move forward in your relationship, you'll find that you don't need to fight for love or constantly prove your worth. When God is at the center, your love will be mutual, sincere, and based on the trust and commitment that God has placed in both of your hearts. When God truly chooses someone for you, you won't feel rushed or pressured. Instead, there will be a sense of peace and clarity that settles into your heart. You'll notice that the relationship develops naturally, without confusion or force. If you find yourself constantly questioning the relationship or feeling unsettled, it may be a sign that it's not part of God's plan. But when you're walking in His will, you'll feel a deep sense of peace, knowing that you are exactly where God wants you to be. This peace doesn't mean that there won't be challenges or moments of uncertainty, but rather that, even in those moments, you will have confidence that God is guiding you. His presence will bring reassurance that, no matter what happens, His plan for your life and your relationship is good. You'll experience a deep sense of security, knowing that God is in control of every aspect, even the details that you might not fully understand at the time. God's choice for you will not bring confusion or emotional turmoil. Instead, it will bring a sense of alignment with His will and purpose for your life. You won't feel like you have to figure everything out on your own or make decisions based on fleeting emotions. You will feel a calm assurance that God's plan is unfolding in the right time and in the right way. His peace will guard your heart and mind, as Philippians 4 verse 7 reminds us, and the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. As you continue to trust in God's plan, you will notice that the relationship feels like it is in sync with who you are and where you're headed in life. You won't feel like you're forcing a connection or try and make something work that doesn't feel right. Instead, the relationship will flow with God's guidance, and you'll find that both of your hearts are drawn together by His love and purpose. When God is at the center of your relationship, there is no need to fear that you're making the wrong choice. The clarity that comes from His guidance will give you confidence in your decisions. Instead of confusion, you will feel empowered by the knowledge that you are walking in alignment with God's will for your life. His peace will be the foundation of your relationship, and that peace will never leave you, even when things get tough. As your relationship grows, the peace that comes from God will not only settle your heart, but also bring clarity in moments of doubt. When you're in the right relationship, you'll notice that decisions become easier to make. You won't feel like you're constantly guessing or second-guessing yourself. Instead, God's presence in the relationship will give you direction, leading both of you to make decisions that honor Him and align with His purpose for your lives. God's peace brings a profound sense of security. You won't feel overwhelmed by the pressure of making things work or by constantly wondering if you're making the right choices. When God's peace is present, you will experience an internal assurance that what you are building together is part of His plan. This peace will allow both of you to move forward confidently, knowing that you are in God's will. Moreover, this peace will be reflected in how you both handle challenges. Every relationship faces obstacles, but in a relationship aligned with God's plan, you'll find that even in tough times, you'll have the ability to handle conflicts with grace. God's peace doesn't just bring calm in the good times. It also strengthens your ability to face difficulties together. When you are both focused on God's will, His peace will guide your reactions, help you find solutions, and give you the patience and understanding you need to work through problems as a couple. Additionally, you will find that the relationship brings you closer to God. When you are walking in His will, the relationship itself becomes a source of spiritual growth. You will support each other in your walk with God, encouraging each other to grow in faith, pray together, and live according to His word. This spiritual unity will enhance the peace in your relationship, knowing that both of you are pursuing God's will together, not just individually. Ultimately, the peace that comes from God's choice in your relationship is a peace that surpasses understanding. It's a peace that transcends any external circumstances and isn't dependent on how things appear at the moment. Even when challenges arise, this peace will sustain you, giving you the assurance that God is with you and leading you in the right direction. The clarity and peace you feel are the fruits of trusting His plan, and they will provide a strong foundation for the relationship to thrive.